Welcome back to Social Hour on K24 with me, Shiko Kaitani. We are talking about disciplining your children today with Jane Minor, who is a child therapist from Amani Counseling and Training Center, as well as family therapist Mbugua Mumbi. Quite an interesting discussion. We've covered quite a bit, including what to do with a rebellious child, even how children perceive their parents. Remember growing up, yes, the disciplining was left to mom, but when dad knew, you knew you were over. It was, you were dead. That was it. Because baba akikuja kwa nyumba, it is over. You are finished. But how is that actually working for you, even as a parent? What kind of rules and regulations, so to speak, have you set in your household, and how is it working out for you? So far, so good. In fact, what is the best way to discipline a child? It's a very simple question. Talk to us. Are you those who believe the cane works? Do you think detention is going to do it? Or do you think counseling and mentorship is the way we need to go? Let's take a look at your feedback. Someone says, hi, I'm Shadi from Chebororwa. My additional point is this: caning sometimes may help, but if the child knows you much as dad or mommy that you would do anything, probably it would work. Talk to your child as a parent. Have that playful moment, advisory time, and sometimes be harsh. Now they won't look up to you. The best discipline is not caning. Kuna wengine wamezoea bali kuwaongelesha na pia kumkaripia itasaidia kupakubwa. Okay. Hey guys, actually to discipline a child, you don't need a kiboko. What should be the key thing is the verbal counseling, and the most important thing is the Bible. But again, our behaviors as parents matter a lot. Some behaviors are inherited from parents. Very good point. Okay, let's see another one. I think the best way to discipline a child is denying them certain privileges. Okay, so that's really like detention, what we're talking about. Sometimes caning ain't that much helpful, but teach your kids how to respect and teach them to be humble too while they are young. They will grow up very disciplined kids. All right, some great ideas coming through. Yes. Jane, starting off with you, and even just taking a look at the feedback that people are, sending through our WhatsApp number. Yes. Are there really the right techniques that you would recommend for parents to use today, especially for those who now have young children, people like me who in 5 years will have to start implementing some of these things? Yes. What techniques would you advise?
Wow, it's a good question, Shiko. It may not go for 5 years for you. It should start like now. Yes. Because you kunja samaki ya angali mbichi, mdogo, so that then by the time they are formulating their opinion, so you're going to be putting the values you want them to have, you're going to put the discipline measures you want to see in them another 5 years. Yeah. Because the goal of parenting is actually to raise responsible adults. Yes, period. I mean, yes, that this guy or this girl can actually hack life. Right. In your absence as parents, this person can actually be able to push their way through. Now, with that in mind, then you have to do everything possible within your power to ensure that probably this person grows into becoming a responsible person. So when you talk about probably how or what is the importance of disciplining them, it is important for you to know that one of the very important things that you're doing as a parent is to be able to help them manage their anxieties. What anxieties? Life anxieties. So they will be able to learn some of those emotions, how to even like balance emotions, how to interact with people socially, how to behave appropriately in certain situations. And you actually give age-appropriate information as they grow. Yeah. When they're small, you ensure that you give them something that are able to means as they grow, like age-appropriateness information.
There are still some parents who are disciplining their children like they are 4 and yet they're in campus. I mean, it doesn't work that way. I like that age-appropriate information as they grow, what is applicable to them.
And actually age-appropriate like rewards and punishments. Okay. Talking about whatever someone is calling detention, it's actually being like even giving them a time out. Yeah, time out. Agree that if we have laid down the strategies that we want. I have said as a parent, this is what I expect your behavior to be like, and they synthesize that. So, and if you go contrarily, which is going to be a misbehavior, then this is what is to follow.
Okay.
Help them understand the consequences of bad behavior.
Yeah.
Let them also know that if you do good, these things will follow.
Exactly what
if you
Joshua,
do bad, yes, these things will follow.
Okay.
Now, when you talk about a timeout, because that's where I want to go, in terms of even asking them to probably detain them.
Yeah.
Like follow through. If you say that you will not watch cartoon, like for a whole day, let it not be for a few hours.
Yeah.
Because then you will have bent, then they will know, even when mom says it's going to be a whole day, even when dad says it's going to be a whole day, it's just going to be like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they can do with 2 hours. But if you follow through and say, I said it's going to be a day.
Yes.
Follow through.
Let it be.
Wow.
Follow through.
Wow.
You will be surprised how parenting styles are getting couples to disagree.
Yes.
Mr. Mbugua, can you speak a little bit about that? How this, as something as small as how to discipline your child can, you know, put a wedge between you and your spouse?
That's very, very important. It's a very, very good question. And thank you, Jane, for the issue of age-appropriate information is very, very critical.
Yes.
I think one of the challenges that we have, Shiko, is that if the two parents, dad and mom, are really not joined at the hip in terms of clearly understanding their responsibility, there is going to be division in terms of their approach to parenting and also instilling discipline. It's going to be, and I think it is very important for us parents, my wife and myself, really, really to always be reading from the same page all the time, such that no parent is seen to be, is presumed to be harsher than the other. And that if mom told the kids this, I as the dad can only reinforce. If I said this, their mom can only reinforce. And because as parents have come from very different backgrounds, so maybe even our parenting style is different. But I think then we need to ask ourselves, what is it that we can do to try and bridge as much as possible our different parenting styles? Because some of us can be helicopters.
It's true. And you know what? You even ask yourself, are couples discussing this in the bedroom? They're not having these bedroom talks.
Absolutely.
Why aren't you both? Because I think this has to be a discussion. It's like, okay, so Mr. Mbugua, so how are we doing this?
And I actually realize it's more effective, Jane, if this discipline is done by both parents. For example, if there's something wrong that my child did, and this evening I need to discipline him or her, their mother should be present. If there's something that their mother has to discipline them about, as far as possible, their dad has to be present so that the children can see that this is one team and none of them is favorable to me. I think having appreciated that, but something I need to say is that, you see, the sign of great parenting is really not in the character of the children. It's demonstrated in the character of the parents. And I think because you had asked that question earlier, and it was very appropriately responded to by Jane, I think the greatest skill, if you ask me, in parenting is when the parents become role models. So that in the life of our children, they'll be asking themselves these questions. Have I ever seen my mother do this? Have I ever seen my father do this? My father has never smoked. My mom has never shouted at my dad. This has never happened. Because children will learn best, not from what you're telling them, but from our examples as parents. We are the mirror, they are our mirror image. So if you see a crooked child, if you see a crooked child in your home, and it's not your neighbor's child, it's your child, that crookedness is you. I mean, it's as powerful as that.
Putting people on the spot today. But I like the fact that if you don't recognize how children can be sneaky, and by the way, they can also, you know, they're doing what they can to just push those buttons. Such that if you have not agreed with your spouse, what are they going to do? They'll talk to mom, go around you, and then go to dad, and you see that doesn't work. Go back again and circumvent. So they need to know it's clear both ways, from mom and from dad. Can we talk a little bit about excessive punishment and how that probably is now bordering abuse in some homes? The over-caning, the excessive shouting, the complaining. perhaps some parents don't realize that, you know, they're going overboard.
Yeah, well, that happens, it has a ripple effect, of course. And the ripple effect we see is that they will defy, they will actually revolt. Like when it is excessive and not probably done in love, not done in a compassionate manner, then the results will be that this person will just revolt. Of course, we're also cognizant of the fact that there are those who will revolt because then they want their freedom to do whatever it is. So they feel that this home is just unbearable, that I cannot stay here because my mom is on my case, my dad on my case. That is actually something different, you know. But when it is coming from both parents, and it is probably then too much, then it will be important for you guys to sit back or, you know, just have a calm moment of trying to understand, are we going wrong in this kind of a thing? And probably if it is possible, probably seek some help from a professional, maybe a counselor, and talk about it. Because if you have done your best as a parent, you have done everything within your power, talking, being compassionate, then there must be a big problem that probably will need some intervention.
Right.
Yes.
And you know, for those who are probably watching and they may disagree with their neighbor's parenting skills, such that you can spot there's something a bit off in the way this parent is treating their child. I think it's a cause for concern. And what do you usually advise in such situations? Is it the child who needs to be able to report to their parents? Because in the African context, we are not given those platforms or the opportunities to go and tell on your parents. But you see it happening all the time in the Western world. People even divorce their parents. Have you had such crazy stories like that? But where do children go and tell on their parents and say, okay, I think in this house I'm being mistreated?
I think it would first before even there are those consequences, it will be important for you to discuss responsibilities and consequences. So that, are you being punished because of the responsibilities that you didn't do? Is this, as much as this punishment is probably overboard, is it because of something that you did not do? Because then that also zeroes down to something. Because then you might go reporting or telling on your parents, then it comes back to you that you're the person who needs to go to juvenile.
Ooh, wow.
You know? Because then you probably have pushed these parents too much, and two wrongs do not make a right. So then it is very important. Of course, we have child helplines that you probably can call, but it will be important that the child knows that it is only and only if there is an abuse.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at WhatsApp very quickly before we get back into the discussion. Let's see who's talking to us. And of course, some of your thoughts as far as what techniques would probably work if you're a parent. What's working in your home? We'd love to hear. As a parent, you should bring up your child in a way you expect them to be at most. Give them your divine attention because they look up to you all times. Discipline starts with the parent himself or herself. Okay? I agree, consistency is the most important thing. Once a rule is set and consequences established, follow through. It is critical. Okay, someone says, I'm Millie from Naivasha. Children should be disciplined, right? Thoroughly, because if you don't teach your child early, he/she will be spoiled. There is a say, spare the rod and spoil the child. Okay. I'm Barry from Kisii. Actually, for me, I just talk to the kid. Bringing the kid so close to you is the key thing. My kids are so close to me that they even tell me what they are doing with their finances, I'm guessing, talking and being close to your kid is the key. I have never complained about them. They are just perfect. Just talk to them and see how responsible your child will be. And I'm glad one viewer actually brought up something that I need to engage you on, Mr. Mbugua, because here comes in religion in the idea of punishment, because we're told if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. And some parents are using that as a benchmark to go forth with the caning. So what's your take on this? Because yes, okay, a lot of us are Christian faithfuls, Muslim faithfuls, or you name it, you know, we follow what the Bible will say. So it's like you've been given the green light, go ahead and cane.
I know the concept of dangling the carrot and the stick has been there for a long time. But I think the world is evolving.
Yeah.
And things are changing. Even in the corporate world today, we are moving from the mentality of managing people into leading them, isn't it? Because you realize you can't manage people. You can't take a cow. You can take a cow to the river, but you can't make the cow drink.
Yes.
I think besides the concept of a carrot and stick, we as parents need to ask ourselves, what are the stakes? You know, the stakes. You know, if you engage in some competition and you put in your money expecting returns, that's what we call the stakes.
Right.
What are my stakes as a parent in investing in my children? When my kids were very young, I used to whip them with my belt. You know, I used to, you know, when they were young. And I think initially I instilled some level of fear. And I'm talking of as young as class 3, class 4. But then thereafter I realized, and I think since class 4 or 5, I have never had a reason to use a stick on my children. Never. Because, number one, we need to let the children know that these rules and regulations that you're laying down is for their personal benefit. Because what is the responsibility of a parent? It is to help this child discover themselves, the greatness in them, and then unleash that for their own success. So then we need to start having a buy-in from a very early age, so that even when I'm punishing this child, they know it's not that dad hates me, mom hates me. I'm being corrected for my own good. So given where we are today, with all due respect, and I know rules have been made that there should be no caning in school. There's a huge dilemma. Because why? Number one, most of our children have become rebellious. They have become truant, isn't it? And therefore, they are rebelling from their parents, they are rebelling from the authority, they are rebelling from school, from the teachers, and so on and so forth. And sometimes there is a feeling that until some level of pain is inflicted, only then probably would they change. And I'm not saying necessarily that that is the best way, but I think we need to have some optimal balance between the two. Of course, I know in the long term, the best thing would be advisory, isn't it? In the long term, that is what I would probably want to put across.
Maybe commenting on the same, it would be nice to probably understand the context for sparing the rod and spoiling the child. For instance, if you go back to the Bible, the rod was actually used to bring back the sheep that were going astray.
That's a good
so then this carrot, and it was actually, if you talk about a rod, it's just something very small. So but as opposed to a whip and slippers and mwiko and belts like Mumbi here.
Yes, it's true.
So this small rod should actually be the one that you're bringing back this child. If they go astray, bring them back. Of course, I'm cognizant of the fact that maybe parents will get so mad. I already said this 1,001 times. This should actually be 100th time that I'm telling you about this thing. So actually the issue of sparing the rod and talking to them poses a very big threat in terms of where do you actually draw the balance? When do you beat and when do you not beat? And of course, again, you see the children are also watching and they're looking at you, so they think, oh, I did this, you did that thing, I did the other, you did nothing. But it would be nice to also agree, back to square one, that you need to agree that if you do this, probably I will close my eyes the first time, but the second time I will not do it. Because then the first time probably you're doing a mistake you didn't know. Repeating the same mistake is probably now the mistake. Now you can agree on what we do at that very point.
I'm told we have a question here that's slightly related to what we're doing, but not so. Susie, sometimes lifestyle, for example, in an abusive relationship can also affect children. What do you say about this? Okay, interesting angle there. Mr. Mbugua, do you actually want to tackle that, abusive relationships and how those are going to affect the children? Therefore, how do you discipline a child who's already dealing with so much mental issues and there's a lot of baggage within the family?
That's a very good question. And most of our children are actually going through that. You know, a child is like a seed. And this seed will grow dependent on the environment it is planted. If the environment is harsh, it is dry, it is rocky, clearly it will affect the productivity and the harvest of the seed. It's very unfortunate that today most of our children are being raised in a very hostile environment. Divorce, separation, alcoholism, you know, drugs, infidelity, you know, physical violence, and so on and so forth. And clearly, there's no child who would grow, you know, well under such circumstances. And what really disappoints me is the fact that there's this conflict between the two parents. It is affecting the children. So the children are trying to look for a way of
venting
out under these circumstances. And sometimes when they, for example, keep away from home because of these very unfriendly environment, we parents punish them. There is an intervention needed here. You realize the parents need help and the children need help. So it's very unfortunate, and more so because sometimes, like we said earlier, the neighbors know this. There's little they can do because of fear. Sometimes even our relatives, my own uncle may not want to intervene. Sorry, the uncle of the children, their aunt may not want to intervene. Again, probably because of my parenting style. But honestly, I feel what Susan is asking.
It's true. Look at that, and you're quite right. I mean, when you see how we've normalized, you know, infidelity in this country, and we are all about our clan lifestyle. It's all about alcoholism, like you said. You know, the couple isn't just getting along. You know, dad has not been seen for days. Mom is doing her own thing. How would you even go about correcting that child? So when they do run away, you know, they become a runaway, and or they're trying to rebel. Again, they're the same ones who are now falling victim to the punishment.
I think I may want to comment on that. A lot of these children who are even seen in therapies, in most of our therapy sessions, you will find that most of them will come from a family that is dysfunctional. There is a problem somewhere. Either the father or the mother are drunks, you know, there is something is just not right. Like what you would call a family system that is working. So with that in mind, then you imagine that what is this child learning? This is actually what he's going to replicate in his life when he grows up. So if the father beats the mom, it is getting into the boy. So what will he do even later in his adult life? He will not respect any woman. After all, my mother was not respected.
And she didn't leave.
Exactly. And she never went anywhere. So this guy will wonder, how come I have married a girl whom I'm beating every day and she's not going anywhere? Or she has run away. Me, I didn't see my mother running away. So why are you running away? So actually, you find that violence will actually, there will be a cycle of violence of whatever nature. Either emotionally, either sexually, either physically. This child will actually pick that, because again, going back to what you were saying, they actually pick, they will learn whatever they are getting from the environment, and this will become part of what they will be even in their adult life. So then it is important for us as parents to actually be able to know, even if you're having differences, let's do it somewhere.
You're right.
Yes, where the children are not watching, because they are actually copycats. They will see you throwing words at each other, and that's what they will do later in life. Yeah.
Wow. Absolutely. So much for us to think about as the adults in all of this, because it really stems from us. That's a lot of pressure to think about. I know there's someone who's definitely taking notes down, and this is touching someone right now. I have a feeling about this, and let me not act like I'm a preacher, but I can feel it. So do we have any more text messages, Brother Director, even as we start to wind up? Okay. We've got one here that says, good morning. I think discipline on any child will always depend on the character of the child. This is because some can be disciplined by just a talk and they will listen, while the same child, when denied something, may not even care and thus may never learn. But also the type of discipline may depend on how serious of a situation I'm guessing of what they've done. Okay. All right. I get you. Thank you. Let's see who else we have. Good morning. This is a wonderful show. Disciplining children starts strongly from the parent. Train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it. That's from Proverbs chapter 22, verses 6. How we discipline our children will determine their future.
That's my pastor.
Nice.
Pastor Karanja.
I was wondering why you so shocked. Okay, so Naftali Karanja, St. Patrick's is your pastor.
That's my church.
Uliambia watu wa kanisa, I'm going to be on TV
I'm
today.
sure.
Jibril from Isiolo, good morning, my dear. Thank you so much. Goes on to say parents should be more friendly and listen to their children. The narrative that African parents rarely listen to their children should end. So what should be done on such? Very good point. Okay, and that's another thing. I mean, whatever happened to just bonding with your child, creating a relationship with your child, being a friend with your child? You're told, people say that if your child becomes your friend, then you will never be able to guide them. But is that true?
That's not true.
No, it's not true. It's not true. We can actually probably borrow from the animal kingdom. I mean, whether it is a cow or a hen, especially in the early stages of this child, they will actually remain with this child for a number of days or months, every day. And even in the corporate world, we say that leadership is about presence. Because your presence models the behavior.
Right.
So, and you know, if you take a hen, for example, it will remain with the chicks, you know, once they are hatched from the eggs, for a number of, I don't know how many weeks, Jade can probably help. But that is very consistent until a time comes for them to be weaned, isn't it?
True.
It is very, very important, because if children cannot learn from me, who else? Today, one of the concepts that the corporate world is trying to use to motivate productivity is bonding, isn't it? Team buildings, fun, being close, coming together. It's the same thing. And I like one of the viewers who said that she is very close to her children. I think it's Barry from Kisii. Very close. And as a result, they open up to her all the time.
That's true.
It's very true.
Not so just family
so that he or she can come and tell you, Mom, there is a boy who is demanding that he sleeps with me. Mom, what should I do? I think as long as this friendship also, of course, there's a border between the friendship and the discipline, I am sure it is going to work very well for our children.
We've got a text message here that I want us to take a look at very quickly. And Jane, you can take this one. I'm a teenager and I've really tried to stop this. I talk back at my mom and it hurts me. It haunts me, in fact. I try my best not to and find myself talking back to her. Please help. I really don't want this anymore. What should I do? Wow, that's a teenager really crying out for help. And even you can see the desperation to try and rebuild that relationship with their mom. What would you say to?
Wow, yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, teenagers do this all the time. Probably because of their developmental stage. Because what happens is that when they are at teenage, then the most important things is their relationship outside. Maybe this could be something that he or she may have picked from the environment. And you know, like they torture each other and they're like, me mukoro haezi niletea, you know, we are being called mukoro. Yeah, me mukoro haezi niletea. And so depending with the personality of this teenager and depending with who or she is, her makeup, she's going to get this.
And I think also, just to add on to that, it's also not really understanding who your child's personality is, who they are. And so do you think where they should start is that friendship, that bonding that probably needs to start? Because it's unlikely that you would shout at your friend if you viewed someone as a very close person to you.
True. I'm looking at it maybe from a complex level. So I'm imagining that probably this is a teenager who is a girl. Girls and moms at teenage don't really rhyme.
That's true.
Because of probably the complexity issues. Maybe if there is no relationship at all, this is likely to happen. So again, back to the parents, that you form a relationship with a child, you ensure that they feel secure in your presence, because again, when you have a friend, you will talk about anything. I mean, you chit chat, you say anything, you talk about
and you kind of envy those kind of relationships where children are able to just talk freely, you know, with their parents. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful.
But if she can reach out to us, then we can probably have a one-on-one session.
And there you have it. Really, those are the solutions I believe that we've been able to discuss here on the show. We hope that this was actually very, very useful to you and your family. Remember, should you want any further counseling, Jane Minor, who is with Amani Counseling and Training Center, is available. I invite you also to follow me on my social media platforms and even DM me should you want contacts. Mbugua Mumbi is very, very active on social media. You'll also find him online. He's a family therapist as well, should you also require his assistance. Can I say thank you?
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Yes.
Bless you. Jane, bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,
and of course, to all the text messages that have come through, and of course the phone calls, Asante Sana, we appreciate you. Please join us bright and early tomorrow as from 8 a.m. right here on K24 this morning. From me, Shiko Kaitani, and the entire Breakfast Club, have a beautiful day up ahead. The Daily Brief is up next.